Timing is everything. It was just about this time yesterday when Texas Governor Rick Perry leaked that he's in the race for 2012, overshadowing last night's big debate by dropping the bomb just hours before it began. Perry already is considered the frontrunner by some, but not by today's specialist who's made it his mission to take Rick Perry down. Congressman Lloyd Doggett says he's sounding the alarm so that the governor doesn't mess with America the way he messed with Texas. Welcome to you, Congressman.
Matt, it's great to join you.
So give us, I'm sure there'll be other times where we'll hear people make the case for Rick Perry. Give us the case against Rick Perry.
Well, Matt, you can tell he's not my cup of tea, but by the bitter standards of the Tea Party, which dominates the Republican primary, if you want the most extreme, if you want the most disagreeable, Rick Perry is your guy. In Texas, he's done great damage to education. That's where I've sparred with him a little bit. Done great damage to our women's health and health overall. And his so-called Texas miracle, you know, he's really big on miracles. Well, the miracle he's claiming for himself really is a Texas tall tale. Created some minimum wage jobs, about 40% almost of those created last year were minimum wage or below. Taken jobs from other states, but no formula for job growth and economic recovery for America.
That's a pretty severe indictment. I know Crystal Ball's got a question for you.
Hi, Congressman.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you, you know, he's certainly not my cup of tea either, as you put it, but he does have a state that's had very strong economic growth. If you just look at the bottom line numbers, low taxes, low per capita spending, it seems like exactly the conservative mantra. Isn't he exactly what the Republican Party is looking for right now in a nominee?
Well, I think so. He is the most extreme. It is important to look at that economic growth because that's the myth of Rick Perry. His way of getting economic growth is to shift jobs from states that have slightly higher taxes to Texas. And whenever there is a problem, except problems advanced to get more toll roads or to help his corporate cronies, the governor's response is, we can do less. And that's what Texas has done. We rank dead last, 51st in the entire country in the percentage of our population who are high school graduates. We rank dead last with reference to the portion of our population that has health insurance. In terms of our economic future and our competitiveness, a Rick Perry governorship has meant more cuts to education, more undermining our long-term ability to be competitive with the rest of the country and the rest of the world.
Jonathan Capehart's got a question.
Congressman, the chyron below you right now says President Perry. Do you think that the problems in the country are so great that a candidate Perry could appeal to Republican primary voters and snag the nomination, who could then go on to beat an incumbent president and become president of the United States, even though he's as extreme as you say?
I think he is the right candidate for Republican primary voters, sadly, because it's become the Tea Party instead of the Republican Party of the past. But I believe that in the general election, while economic conditions are a great concern, that his extreme views, as we say in Texas, he's got lots of splaining to do about some of the things he said. Indeed, you know, when we first heard about it here in Texas that he was running for president, given all the secession talk that he used against Kay Bailey Hutchison, a conservative senator, our first question was, which country?
And why did secession not become a bigger issue, Congressman, in Texas in that race? You know, it got noted, but is it because there were a fair number of Texans who said, yeah, let's secede, or is it that people didn't really take him seriously when he said it, and he'll be able to kind of brush it off when it comes up in a general election campaign?
I'm sure he'll try to laugh it off, as he did once or twice this past year. I mean, the bottom line is that Texas is a very deep red desert with a few blue oases like we have here in the capital city in Austin. And he appealed to those voters, and he was determined that no one could get to his right. He would take another giant leap to the right if that's what it took. I just think it will be difficult for him to explain some of those extreme statements. Statements like suggesting that the Social Security and Medicare are failed experiments. You said in the last segment, or Matt did, that no one questions the constitutionality of Medicare. Well, Governor Perry has questioned it. He is willing to take on any of the social contract that attempts to protect retirement security and future educational opportunities, and I think he'll be out there making that case for that far-right agenda. I just don't believe that independent and some Republican voters in America's suburbs will buy that if he becomes the nominee. If he does, I will say, he'll be great for prayer in America. We will all be praying for America to survive a Perry presidency, which would just be disastrous.
Congressman, we've just got time for one more question. I want to zero in on the economic stuff because that's clearly going to be part of, it'll be central to his pitch, the so-called economic, miracle or job story in Texas. One report I saw showed that Texas has the highest proportion of minimum wage jobs of any state in the country and the lowest median wage of any state in the country. So even if the number of jobs that's being created may be high, and put aside that some of them are from the stimulus that he poor-mouthed during that campaign, and even if he's stealing some of those jobs for other states, which is kind of a zero-sum game, nothing for economic growth overall, the fact that you've got the lowest median wages and the most minimum wage jobs means these aren't good jobs. These aren't living wage jobs, right?
Almost 40% of those created last year were minimum wage or below. He's been good at growing the poor here in this state, at growing the gap between the very wealthy, his corporate buddies, and the rest of the population, but he hasn't been good for protecting the middle class on key issues like public education and health care.
Lloyd Doggett, I'm thinking of you as you're going to be like the chicken who goes and heckles at rallies. You'll be a much classier version.
Oh, no. In terms that Governor Perry can understand, I just want to bear witness. I want to bear witness to what Rick Perry has done to Texas and tell that story across America.
Well, I'm sure you'll be on point. We're going to be seeing a lot of you. Thanks for previewing that case even before he makes his formal announcement today. And thanks always to our mega panel. That's Jonathan Alter, Jonathan Capehart, and Crystal Ball. Great to get your insights and perspective as always, guys.
Thanks, Matt.